Well, hello everybody. This is Kyle from RV Theming. We're beginning our full-time RV living experience tomorrow. And we're running through our house and trying to make decisions on what can stay and what can go. We had all the things that we thought we needed to take, and then we go to our 200 square foot camper, and guess what? It doesn't fit. And one of those things, one of those the most serious to me is my concert shirt collection. Now, I thought I was going to be able to take these. My wife said to me, there's no way. And I said, I'll make it happen. Don't you? I'm industrious. And I thought I was going to figure it out. I have zero room. So I'm about to tuck these away and put them in storage. So I just couldn't do that without at least giving them a little bit of due respect. So I'm going to show you my concert shirt collection as it stands today. So let's start, shall we? Now, first, we have Willie Nelson. This is the Honky Tonk Live tour. I saw him a couple years ago, and let me tell you, as much of a legend as he is, it was an interesting show. Willie just does whatever he wants on stage anymore. The band just plays the song, and Willie just does whatever he wants, says what he wants, sings what he wants, plays what he wants, and we loved it. Next, we have Paul Simon. Paul Simon, I forget the tour I saw him on. Generally speaking, I like to get a shirt with the actual dates on it, so I can always look and point to my show, the show that I saw. But sometimes that's not possible. Now we're gonna get into something a little bit different. This is Steel Panther, and you can see, where did I see him? Hollywood, Florida is where I saw them. Steel Panther is an interesting band. If you're not into them, give them a little look, but just make sure the kids aren't around. You might, I don't know if it's mixed company, might be a little difficult. But there it is, Steel Panther. Now we have, I don't know if you remember these guys, Wasp. Now my friend knows the bass player, and I was able to get on the list and all that. Be Lawless, that's for Blackie Lawless, of course. Next we have legendary band ZZ Top. And as you can see, this is one with the shows on it, and I saw them in West Palm Beach, and that was a great show. Now we're getting into some metal. Megadeth. This is the Peace Sells 25th anniversary tour. See that? Megadeth. ZZ Top and Megadeth. It's going to get even weirder now, because last year I got to see the Brian Setzer, what was the tour? The Rockabilly Riot tour. Look at that guy. Brian Setzer, Rockabilly Riot. And we saw him in Charlottesville, Virginia at the Paramount Theater. This was an interesting show. My wife and I were in Portland for like 3 days, and we just looked what to do, and there was a huge blues festival right on the river with Mount Hood in the background, and we got to see Tedeschi Trucks live, and the tickets were $10. Not too shabby. Portland, Oregon. Now we have Joe Walsh. Now, I saw Joe Walsh in 2016 with Bad Company. We actually had backstage. I just chose to get a Joe Walsh shirt because I already had a Bad Company shirt, even though it won't be represented here today. Now, this was Billy Joel. I saw him in Sunrise, Florida for the New Year's Eve concert. We spent New Year's Eve with Billy Joel. And as you can see, actually, you know, it's funny, there's the shirt. There we are, Sunrise, Florida. There's the date. And I bought a shirt, and I realized later before I left that they were trying to sell me last year's shirt. And I ran back to the lady that sold it to me, and she said to me, I know we're supposed to sell that box first. They were told to sell me a shirt with an incorrect date. I damn near lost my mind. So here we go. This is going to be a surprising one, but I cannot lie. I love this guy. Adam Ant. Remember that guy? Or Adam and the Ants? This was Adam Ant and his Resurgence tour. It was the Good, the Mad, and the Lovely Posse. 2 drummers and all that. Adam Ant, everybody. Peter Frampton Live. It says Frampton there, but boom! There it is. Frampton's Guitar Circus in 2013. And now right from Frampton, we're going to head into something similar to Frampton. Hampton, Slayer. Now this is the shirt I don't even show my kids. My daughter sees this and she has nightmares. The Slayer Tour 2010. I saw them with King Diamond, and you'll get to see the King Diamond section later. This is the World Painted Blood Tour. This is Black Sabbath, and I've seen Ozzy and Black Sabbath just around 20 times. And this was the 13 tour when they got back and they made their first album in a really long time. And I gotta be real honest, Ozzy was singing out of key for the first half of the show, and I could barely listen to it. So I have a shirt from one of their worst shows that I ever saw, because they're literally one of my top 3 bands. And but that particular show was the worst I ever saw. And this is another one. I bought 2 shirts at that show. See, Black Sabbath 13, because it was their 13th album, I believe. Now this, a good friend of mine is actually in this band, and this is Kingdom of Sorrow. This is a band made up of Kirk from Crowbar and Jamie Josta from Hatebreed, and my friend is Stephen Gibb. He's from Black Label Society, Crowbar, a bunch of other bands, Barry Gibb Band. Another Kingdom of Sorrow. This is Heavier Than All. Look at that. Now, directly from Kingdom of Sorrow, we're going to get into probably the mellowest act. I'm not sure if you know about this guy. This is Amos Lee. You see how they made the name Amos into a guitar? Amos Lee played in a little place called the Culture Room. And the Culture Room is really small. And he was trying to make this intimate vibe and everything. And everybody was talking. You could barely hear him. And he literally said, hey, look, I'm going to play my stuff. I'm going to play it the way I designed it. You guys can do whatever you want. And it was a tough show. This was actually on my birthday at the Hard Rock Live in Hollywood, Florida. I got to see Cheech and Chong live, man. I got to see this at what's now Hard Rock Stadium. Police, this is 2008 I saw them in Miami, Florida, the Police. Now this is one of the over 15, 20 times or so that I saw Def Leppard. I chose just to buy a clean Def Leppard shirt. I bought this one at the Cruzan Amphitheater in West Palm Beach, Florida. This is Anvil. I'm not sure if you remember, but Anvil put out that movie, the Anvil story about how they remained a band all these years and they should have been huge and they weren't and all that. And they were doing this thing where they would show the movie and then the movie screen would go up and they would play live, and there was no better way to see them than doing that, because the movie's so good and it makes you a big fan of them, and then boom, they're live in front of you. It's fantastic. Saigon Kick, got to see them. Again, friends with the singer and the guitar player, so we get backstage and we hang out and all that kind of stuff. Now, one of my favorites of all time, I got to take my son. He's probably 8 years old, to see Charlie Daniels. Look how good he looks. Look at that guy. I'm telling you. This is Roger Waters. Now, this was the Wall Tour. I saw the Wall Tour 4 separate times. Saw him at Nassau Coliseum and then 3 other times in Florida. And as you can see, trust us. We got a lot of that going on right now. And I forget which shirt, which show this is, if this is a Florida shirt or not. I got a couple shirts. I don't know. I mix it up. But yeah, I bought one in New York City, and then I bought another shirt in Florida. Tear Down the Wall. Roger Waters. Amazing. His next tour, Us and Them, the live show was actually, dare I say, better. It was incredible. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I saw this in Washington, D.C., the Us and Them tour. If you didn't see it, I feel for you. And my date is in there somewhere, the Washington, D.C. one. 2017, went there with my wife. The Great Gig in the Sky quite literally brought me to tears. That's how good it was. Now, this is another shirt. I couldn't pass it up. Look at that guy. His whole face and head taking up the whole shirt. And this is again at that same show, Us and Them. Go to YouTube and watch Roger Waters' Great Gig in the Sky live. Just take a listen to it and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's one of the greatest renditions I ever heard, and it literally brought me to tears. Now this, another Roger Waters shirt. This was the Dark Side of the Moon tour. I actually saw this in New Jersey at the PNC Bank Art Center. I took my wife, before she was my wife, I was trying to impress her, and we went up there and saw this in 2006. That was my girlfriend. Another great tour, Dark Side of the Moon. This is David Gilmour's last tour. Truth is, I didn't go to this show, but because I couldn't go, my friend was actually in London and got to see him at the O2 Arena and bought me this shirt. David Gilmour is one of my favorites in the world. Pink Floyd, again, top three. You know, I'm gonna have like 18 top threes. But David Gilmour is literally one of my favorites, and my friend knew I was heartbroken, so he got me that. From the O2 Arena Live. This is 2016. This looks like a Pink Floyd shirt, but it's not really. If you look closely at the hammers, what are they? Little kangaroos. This is the Australian Pink Floyd, and I actually got to see them at Miami Beach at the Jackie Gleason Theater. I can't tell you how many times I've seen these guys, maybe 5 or 6 or 7, something like that. I saw them in West Palm Beach. You know, it's on here somewhere. There it is, West Palm Beach. That's the show I got to see. Now, this particular show was with Styx, as many REO Speedwagon shows are these days. And then for that, you'll see this is Styx. And a good friend of mine is good friends with the drummer of Styx. And we get to go backstage. He's one of the nicest guys in the world, Todd. Like literally one of the biggest sweethearts you'll ever meet. So this is one of those shows, one of the times I met him. You'll see this is a different show, same band, Styx. Again, one of the other times I got to go backstage and hang out with those guys. I just saw them last year, actually, in Charlottesville. And here is one of my top 3. This is my favorite guitar player in the world. Even more so than David Gilmour. I love Joe Satriani. I've seen him probably 7 or 8 times. Joe Sach. What's this say? Professor Saxophonculus. It was that tour. But sadly, Neil Peart passed away this year, but I got to see Rush live. This is the North American tour in 2013. It's crazy that it was that long ago. And this was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, that I got to see Rush. The Clockwork Angels tour. I've probably seen Cheap Trick more than most of my, maybe top 3. This particular show, it says Cheap Trick on tour since 1974. You see that? And that's why I see them so much. They always seem to be out there. This show was in the little place called the Parker Playhouse in Fort Lauderdale. I brought my son, who was real big into Cheap Trick at the time. So my son was, I'll tell you a story real quick. That was my son's first real show that he was present for. He saw Kiss a few times and John Mayer, but he didn't really know what was going on. That one he knew, and when they do the encore, my son didn't know what was going on. He said, why are people still cheering? They said good night, and I said, no, if we cheer loud enough, they might come back on. Of course they're coming back on, but he didn't know that. He was like, woo, yeah, and he was screaming and screaming and screaming, and when they came back out, he lost his mind. He actually believed in the encore, which was just so great to see, because I'm going to so many shows, and that's just, I just sit there and be quiet and go on my phone and read Instagram, whatever, but he didn't know that. It was so great to see that again through his eyes, and the pure joy, like we had accomplished something. This is AC/DC. This was actually from the some train tour. I forget what it is. Black Train, Rock and Roll Train, something like that. I love AC/DC. Interestingly, I was actually in AC/DC's Stiff Upper Lip video. If you ever watch it, there's a blue truck where that Angus Young is jumping around and all that kind of stuff, and they're all around the truck, and you could see me quite clearly rocking out with AC/DC. And this is just, I don't even think, oh no, this is it. Back in the USA tour, Rock or Bust 2016, and I saw them at this show right here, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Now this is the Romantics. I actually saw them open for Cheap Trick in the Cheap Trick or Treat tour. It was on Halloween in the Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida, and it was a very, very small show, but it was Cheap Trick, Romantics, and a few other bands, and that was in 2006. What do you think this shirt is? What do you think that is? That's a rooster. So this is, you guessed it, Alice in Chains. This was actually the Black Gives Way to Blue tour, with the first tour with the new singer. And let me tell you something, they rocked, man. They were awesome sausage. This was a different tour, and I saw them in Hollywood, Florida. So you can see Alice in Chains right there. And there's the show. Where are we? Right there, Hollywood, Florida. That's the show. I got to see them. Tenacious D, huh? Who goes and sees Tenacious D? Saw them at the Jackie Gleason Theater in Miami, Florida. Tenacious D, they were spectacular. Here's one of my secret little favorites. You might not even know who these guys are. This is Celtic Frost. A lot of people say it's Celtic Frost, but for me, it's Celtic Frost. They reformed in like 2008, May of 2007, and they made one album. They did half a tour with Typo Negative, and then they broke up again. And I was there, man. I got to see them. This is Motorhead. I got this shirt at Lemmy's. You know, the singer's name is Lemmy. This was the final show before he died. This was the last show of the tour. This is in West Palm Beach. Actually, it was in Pompano Beach. And he died shortly after this show, you see. 9/26/2015, Pompano Beach, Florida. And he died a few months after that show. So I was there. I got to see Lemmy's last show. And I'm grateful for that. Corrosion of Conformity, COC, my good friend, is good friends with the singer. The whole band, really. Pepper. We got to go backstage at Revolution in Fort Lauderdale, and we got to hang out with them. This is the Kiss section. I've seen Kiss more than any other band from when I was really young till just this year. What's this one? Psycho Circus live in 3D. This was 2008, something like that. I've seen Kiss so many times. It's unbelievable how many times. With makeup, without makeup, reunion, farewell. This is actually given to me by one of the crew. His name was Rosie. He was their bodyguard for a long time. He gave me this shirt. I knew his sister. This is when Paul Stanley did his solo tour. And this, I took my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, and I was turning her on to one of my loves, Kiss. And so she didn't know anything about Kiss. She's in a whole different generation. She's into like Death Cab for Cutie and Fiona Apple and stuff. And she told me she liked it, but years later I found out that she doesn't like Kiss. So what do you think of that? So this is Ace Frehley. You want to hear a funny story? I'll actually put a picture up on the video. This was a whole rock festival down in Florida. And it was like Rat and Queensryche and Quiet Riot and Winger and Paul Rodgers and everything. And Ace Frehley played just about last, but I had to go to work in the morning, so I ended up leaving right after Ace. And I've seen Paul Rodgers in Bad Company before, and I just said, I'm gonna go, guys. 15 minutes after I left, my buddies got to go meet Ace Frehley. They were in his in his bus, and they met him and they sent me the picture. I wasn't even back to the car, and they were sending me a picture inside Ace Frehley's tour bus. So I was pissed, and they still don't let me live that down. And then they went out to dinner with Kip Winger from Winger after that too. So yeah, at least I went to work the next day, huh? This shirt has been to more Kiss concerts. This was my Kiss shirt, actually given to me by a friend named John. But this shirt has seen Kiss almost as many times as I have. And I'll show you a picture of me in that shirt too. Significantly younger version of me. What tour is this? This is the I Was There Alive 35, September 17th, 1996. What the hell is that? Alive Worldwide. I don't know what this is. Set in Miami on fire. Oh, wow, yeah. Interesting. Alive Worldwide. They got so many tours. Look at this one, huh? This is Alive 35. Different show. Look at that. Right, so this is Gene Simmons, Kiss Alive 35. Look at those eyes. So pretty. Kiss Alive 35. This was their 35th anniversary tour. Now it's going to get funny here in a second, because this is, what does this one say? You'll see it right there. What's that say? The Farewell Tour in 2000. And that's the original band, The Farewell Tour. Now, what's my next shirt? Now, this is another shirt. End of the Road Tour. And what year? This is this year. So 2000 was last year, 2019. I took my son to see this one. We saw that in Bristow, Virginia. But it's funny, right? They do a farewell tour and now the end of the road tour. Interesting, Alive 35 was in the middle there. It's one of those shirts, you know, sometimes the concert shirts have dates and all that. Sometimes it's just a great shirt, so I had to get it. This was their first album, and this was the back of the first album as well, so it was pure, and I had to get it. All right, now we're getting into another section. That is the end of the Kiss section. Yes. Here's another section, one of my top 3 favorite bands in the world, Alice Cooper. This is the Theater of Death tour. I saw this in Pompano Beach, Florida. They killed him 7 times. They hung him, electrocuted him, chopped his head off, shot him with some poison, a spider got him, all kinds of crazy stuff. This was the Theater of Death, all kinds of death in Pompano Beach, and this is 2009. This one I took my son to, Make America Sick Again, in 2016, because he does that kind of stuff. He has the song I Want to Be Elected, and this was during the election year. Coop 2016, he wants to be elected. Alice Cooper for president. See that? Nice. I vote for him. The $1 Billion Babies tour, you know, the anniversary, $1 Billion Babies. I don't know what anniversary it was. 2013, 2014, Raise the Dead tour. There we go. Look at that. Which tour is this? The No More Mr. Nice Guy tour, 2011. Look at that guy. Yeah. No more Mr. Nice Guy. He's coming at you. All right, now we're going to go from Alice Cooper to one of my favorite new bands. I'd recommend giving them a listen. This is Papa. That's actually Cardinal Copia. They changed the character of the singer every album, and it's Papa Emeritus, but now it's Cardinal Copia. We saw him in Richmond, Virginia. This tour was from Richmond, Virginia. I took my son and my buddy Danny, came down from Philly, and we saw Ghost in Richmond. This shirt is from the Fort Lauderdale tour not tour, but that's where we saw him, in Fort Lauderdale. Oh no, this is Miami. I saw them at the Jackie Gleason Theater in Miami. The Pope Star Tour. Fantastic. And this is the one I saw them in 2014 with Papa Emeritus 2. Look at that guy. That's Papa Emeritus 2. And there he is. This was 2014. I saw them in Fort Lauderdale. Now another one of my favorite new bands, Red Fang. I actually saw them in Orlando, Florida, opening up for Mastodon, and I chose to get a Red Fang shirt. As much as I like Mastodon, Red Fang just really tickles me, man. One of my absolute favorites in the world. Relatively obscure except for some metalheads. King Diamond. This one I actually bought in about 2000, maybe 1999. I saw him in Randolph, New Jersey, at a little tiny shithole. This is the Abigail tour. I actually flew. He wasn't coming to Florida, so I flew up to New York City and saw him at the Nokia Theater in Times Square. I flew up there by myself just to go see the Abigail tour, which is playing the full Abigail album from front to back. And I could not possibly miss it. There he is. There's King Diamond. That's the Abigail cover. That was what, 2015, featuring the entire Abigail album. Where'd I see him? Yep, they played at Best Buy Theater, not Nokia. So he played 3 nights there. This is another one. I actually saw him at the Mayhem Festival. This was that Slayer shirt that I showed you earlier. This is the shirt for King Diamond on that tour. The Mayhem Festival. And I actually flew to New Jersey and went to see them with my buddy Rob Simpson. That's right, Rob Simpson, everybody. Which one was this? I forget which tour this was, but there he is. Look at that creepy guy. Ooh. This was the I tour years and years and years ago. I was probably 16 years old. The I, maybe 17. We just saw Graham Nash. There he is. 2018 at the Paramount Theater in Charlottesville, Virginia. Graham Nash, me and my wife got to sit and he basically played up there and told stories about every song. And then I'm gonna wrap this up with my favorite shirt of all, Hall & Oates. There's Daryl Hall and John Oates, and John Oates is known for his mustache. And there it is, Oates' mustache. I'm gonna have to bring this one in the RV, I think. How could I possibly leave this thing behind? Hall & Oates. Hey, look, I know this video is kind of long, but that's my shirts. I don't know, even if nobody ever watches this, I still wanted to do it because my shirts need to see the light of day. I'm gonna be putting them in storage, like I said, and it breaks my heart. At least now I've put them out there for anybody who has interest in this kind of thing. But we're gonna be making more videos. Follow us on YouTube. We're gonna be showing you exactly what it's like to not only live in an RV and homeschool and road school and all that stuff, but we gotta stay sober on top of that. And we're gonna be riding every roller coaster in the country with my 2 children if the quarantine ends. So I hope everybody's safe out there. Our wheels are rolling, can't turn back now. This is our last night in our sticks and bricks. I hope you're being safe out there. Thanks for watching.